Like I said, yeah, yesterday, um, everything we'll be doing here on it's very delicate, so it require some very high level of attention, possibly. I think I should capture my display. Let me know which one. Um, I think I'll use this one. IG. Okay, let me see which one is better. Okay, so I'm going to start off. We're going to start off. Did you guys do any practice with the puppet tool yesterday? But you practiced though. Yeah. And the important thing is to practice. So whether I saved it or not, um, I want to just make sure that we are understanding how these tools are being used. More. That's the most important one to me. That you understand it. Once you understand it, I'm good, and we are all good. Okay. So let me go new comp. I'll still select a new comp. The recording I did yesterday did not record my the comp. It was also recording the timeline. So I don't know. I don't know the magic it was doing. So I think this one should be better for us. So let me see. I want to be sure. Okay. Okay. This puppet tool. There were some that we didn't do yesterday. So some I didn't do yesterday. So I'm going to just quickly touch on them and then move on to what I wanted us to. You want us to use the same composition setting as last time? Yeah, I can use the same comp setting. If you have the files I did have their own composition, but create the same composition setting. Something we can. mm, right. All right. So, yes, let me run through that stuff again. Yesterday we did. Uh, yes. Mm, that's just something double it here. Nothing inside this. Yes. Okay, next one now is yeah, I just want to play around with this guy inside. Inside the bottom. Or okay. Right. So um, we did the puppet's position pin. I'm going to add that position to the bottle itself and some parts of the water that will definitely not move around. Okay. All right, we saw how this starch to work. We didn't see the bend or the advanced paint. So most times for free animation, I like to use the advanced paint. It's more, it has more control, definitely on an object when you create an object for rotation and spinning and all those stuff. So it has some good control, and I like it. It's a good object to use. It's a good object to use. So I think I'll just get this with the shape here and the shape one. So one, two, three. Let's put this here and here. Right. So the puppets, the rotation. So with this circle, the big um, that big circle there, that square allows you to scale in or out the animation, the influence of the pin. So it's easy for if I want to do a water animation to just play around with the influence like this. Okay. Another way you can do it is just to turn the influence or move it manually here. So the advanced paint tool is a little bit more, has a little bit more control for more fluid kind of animation. It works on scale, rotation, and position as well. So if I want to animate this water flowing, it's going to be easy to just play around and mess around the influence and scale down, move, and I could just duplicate all this and keep pasting them like that so that it has just those two movements. I'm not going to do plenty things since we're just advertising the tools. Okay, so I can just have and probably change all of them to be eased so that the flow can be easy. So it's a little bit more easy to use because you don't have to play or do too many things on one spot. Yeah, you don't have to create too many of them. So it's very good for fluid animations. The other ones are good for more sturdy animations that are more sturdy or rigid. But the advanced paint tool is very good for animation that is fluid in a way. So it's quite good. Um, so that's the advanced paint tool. The bend paint tool is similar to this, but it doesn't do everything that this one does. So basically, uh, let me copy in all these options here. Okay, so if you are using the bend, so it puts a bend pin. It does the same things, similar things like the advanced pin, or similar things like the advanced pin. So, but you can't play around with position for the bend pin. So that's why the advanced pin is a little bit more preferable. The advanced works position, scale, and rotation, but the bend pin just works on scale and rotation, not position. So you can't move it around. Once you put it on an object, it will remain in that spot. But for the advanced pin, it can move around. Then one last thing I wanted to talk about is, even though like now I've created the bend pin here, I can come into this setup beside where the pin is, and you can see it's written bend. You can change it to the normal position pin. You can change it to the starch. You can change it to the advanced pin. So it's not necessary that if you want to get a new pin, or maybe you made a mistake with a pin, that you always have to go back and make changes here. So if I change, for instance, this one to uh, position pin now, okay, it is just going to be doing the position movement. It's not going to have that kind of fluidity that we had. Let's just back on the advanced, and then all the animation can take place. So changing the pin, the type of the pin is affects what is being animated. So I want us to take note of this. The position pin, it works basically on position, right? The advanced, the bend pin works on rotation and scale. The advanced version, position, rotation, and scale. So basically, like if I click position here, it's just position that is highlighted. If I click on starch here, nothing is highlighted because, like I said, starch is not for movement. It's to add a kind of rigid body. Okay, so when you're moving things, it keeps that thing strong. Like the limb, like I use example of the limb of the character, that is hands or legs. So, and I did a small um, example yesterday. The bend pin works on only scale and rotation, not position. Advanced works on all of them, position, scale, and rotation. So basically, all the transform properties are taken to um, notes when you're using the advanced puppet pin. That's why it's called advanced puppet pin. Okay. Then for those are the primary pins. Position works on position. Starch doesn't work on anything. It doesn't. Its job is to keep the objects sturdy. That's it. No movement. Then bend is going to bend. So basically, it's going to work on scale and rotation, but not movement. Advanced is going to work on position. That's movement, scale, that's resizing, and rotation, that is orientation. So those are the primary things. Those are what the pins do. This pin is not highlighted here because it's not necessarily a pin for animation like how these ones are. What it's used to do is if you have a character like, uh, let me see, I think I should have some drawings of some stuff. Uh, let me see. Okay, let's say you have a character like this, right? And while you were drawing it or while you were moving it, this hand happened to appear behind the torso. So that's when you are adding the puppet pin and you want to bring the hand forward or so that when it passes it doesn't go into the torso. That's what this puppet overlap will do. It will bring, when you click on the pin, it bring whatever you click brings it forward so that when it's crossing it doesn't merge with whatever is behind it. So it keeps them on their various layers. That's what the overlap pin does. The rest of them do the animation, but this one just is like trying to rearrange the layer order in the character or in the object that you are trying to animate. That's what that one does. All right, so with those concepts, we have the, let's say, let's look at the beer. We have this beer. Hello, beer. How you doing? So this beer, what I did is I did not. What's the word now? I did not separate the beer's properties. Like I did not separate the legs from the hands when I exported them. They were all done in the same layer. So that's why importing them, it's coming in as one object. Even though in Illustrator they are on separate layers, but I brought it in here as one single layer so that it doesn't do the basic animation we know. So the concept of the puppet spin here now is, for instance, I want to make this bear sit down and stand up, or make the head go down and come up. Well, that kind of thing. This is a fixed image because it's just one layer. It's a fixed image. So if I want to do anything on it, I can't click on rotate and rotate it or try to move this leg separate from the body because they are not separated objects. So that's where the puppet pin comes in. So with the puppet pin, I can create studied places, like places I don't want movement. So for instance, on the starch here, this is the hand. So I don't want this place to bend. Maybe here. I don't want here to bend. I don't want here and here to bend. Those kind of stuff. To make it very uh, more objectful. And then I can now add a pin to the leg here just to make it steady, right? And maybe one here, one at the butt. Oh no, don't need that one at the butt there. Put one here. Then I can add this other one, the advanced pin for the head here. I can add it here for the butt. well. So it means that if I come to this pin, I can rotate the head, as you can see, and it's having a realistic movement by the as it's moving the head. This part of the body is also moving, but it's not the whole body that is moving because of this pin. It's not allowing this part of the body move, and it's not allowing the legs move because I've put a pin there and I've also put a starch here. So no matter how this one bends, it doesn't move that. And then I can move forward again and take it up. So I just have a basic up and down movement of the beer. So it's important when you're using the pins, why we put all these other pins. Otherwise, if you just came to this, let's say this object now, this particular one, and I put the pin here, and I rotate like this, the whole object will turn. If I put a pin here also, and I rotate this object, you can see how it's twisting into itself, which is a wrong, obviously that's not how something moves. If you try to scale it, it affects every other part of the body. So that's the reason why we don't just put one pin and then make the adjustments. You put pins on parts of the object that you want the object to animate with. So let me come back to this guy. So we put pins where we want the animation to take place. And then we put pins where we don't want movement. So that if I have to move this leg like this, you can see it's going to affect this other leg. If I don't want it to pull this one, I have to put a pin here so that this one, when this one moves, this one doesn't move. But like I said, this is a singular image. So I won't want it to try to walk, but I don't want these legs to move. So I can come here and rotate the butt in as if it's trying to squeeze its butt, maybe take a poop. No? But I can also move it. Okay. So you understand, right? Can we make a simple movement of the beer? You can make your beer nod its head if you have your beer. You should have your beer because you should have the work files on you. I've sent these work files to you before. Or just try to make it work. I just want to see it work, and then I will go forward and do the other things I want to do. If you have an image, yes, use it. If you have a drawing of yours, but let it be a singular file and don't let it be broken into layers. Even if you are importing an Illustrator file, let me show an example now. If I'm trying to import this, uh, there's that girl, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, girl. If I'm trying to import this girl, or let me say this one, make sure you import it as a footage, not as composition, retaining layer sizes. Import it as a footage so that it comes as a singular file. If you do retain layer sizes, because the image was done with layers, it will import it with layers. So let me show you an example of both of them. Importing this girl as a footage, we'll bring in this. Let me go click OK, merge layers, OK. it will bring in a singular file of an image, no layers. But if I go in and import her as composition to retain layer sizes, right? And I click import. What it does is it brings in the girls. Let me open the two columns. This is the first one. This is the second one. The difference with the second one is I have the head, I have the right hand, the left, the torso, the skirt, I have the left leg, the right leg, the way I drew it in Adobe Illustrator. But the first one, I just have a singular image. So if you are bringing in something that you did in Illustrator, but you want it as a singular image, you bring it as a footage. For the other one, you bring it as layers, maintaining layer sizes or retaining layer sizes. That's the difference. So just attempt something quickly, use an image. Because everyone should do something. I don't want anyone not doing anything. In this file, if you are using the beer, this beer is in the file I gave you for this After Effects. I gave you a folder called class exercise files. And I gave you, before we started, because there were things like this I had already prepared so that we don't have to start preparing them and bringing them in here. So uh, um, the folder that has this shape is the one that talks of working with shape layers because these are shapes. So working with shape layers, that's the folder that has it. So what you are importing is the last one, puppet position pin. Okay, that's the one you are working with. So I did all this prior to time because I remember when we were in semester one, I said we should create characters or create drawings that we would use later for animation. A lot of us I know didn't do that. So hence, that's why I gave this folder. So please, we just have 5 minutes. So not it's not the whole day. We have a lot to learn today. So um, try and do something now. You just pause this recording, right? It's part of the process to show that you are creative. So remember, you put the puppet pin, that's the first one, which is yellow, on places that you do not want to move. You put the starch, that's the red one, on places that you don't want to bend or scale. So it's like a limb, right? I didn't use the bend pin, but it's usually brown. You can use it if it's what you want, but like I said, the advanced pin is a green one. So you put it in the place that you want to create the animation from. Okay, so the place that you want to make the object move from. Okay, so I'm just giving you 5 minutes. So just observe your whatever you're doing and so the essence of the puppet pin is so that if your image is not layered like this, CJT, last exercise files, uh, it's like this, that you cannot move the hands separately. That's why we use the pins. Okay. But for layers where I can move the hands separately, I don't really need the pins because all I need to do for each, like the right hand, for instance, can change this location here. For the left hand, change this location here. For the head, I change this location here. So that if I want to now rotate, for instance, and it's rotating, you see it's rotating at that anchor point. If I do for the hand, same thing, but I'm trying to rotate it, it's swinging from there. So I don't need the puppet pin for multiple layers. It's only useful here where I can rotate the hand and the head separately. But it doesn't mean it cannot be used. But preferably, let me record. Okay, so um, I want to work on this lady. Uh, I want her to walk across the screen, definitely. So I have her left leg, her right leg, skirt, torso, head, stuff. Normally, when you bring in the files, they are going to be um, having their anchor points at the center. The anchor points are this um, points here, that circle there, that central circle. So those central of the object. Because by default, normally, even when you draw an object like a rectangle, for instance, the anchor point of the rectangle is at the center of the rectangle. Then you can now move it. The layer itself has its own anchor points. So, but the shape has its own anchor points. So every object has an anchor point as long as it comes into whatever software it is, whether it's Illustrator or Photoshop or InDesign or Premiere Pro. Every object has a central point, that is a point of origin. So the anchor point or the pivot point, which we usually call it, is used to determine scale and position. I mean, scale and rotation of an object, not necessarily positioning. Mm. So, for instance, if I have this rectangle here, let me shift the anchor point of the layer to the center there. The anchor point is here. If I go to rotate this rectangle, because the anchor point is right here, the rotation will rotate around that point. If I go to scale, oops, if I go to scale, it will zoom in or out into wherever the anchor point is. Position doesn't matter where the anchor point is, it moves anywhere. So anchor point doesn't affect then typically the position of an object. Right. So if I want to rotate this object from here, I have to change this anchor point to that point. So After Effects has this object called pan behind tool, which I can use to shift the anchor point to that place. Now, once I rotate, it's going to rotate from that place there because that's where the anchor point is. Same thing with scale. It's going to scale into that place because that's where the anchor point is now. So anywhere I put the anchor point, if I push the anchor point here outside of the object and I rotate, it's going to rotate around that point. So wherever the anchor point is or the pivot point is where the object will move towards. So in animation, whether it be 2D animation or 3D animation, the pivot point or the anchor point is the most crucial part of the object when it comes to rotation or scaling. So if you are going to create a character's walk, for instance, the walk of a character, the legs and the hands moving and the head moving, The properties that you are moving are not the position. For hand to move around, it is rotation, not position. Position is relocating the hand from wherever it is to another place. But if somebody is walking, his hand is moving like this. So he's swinging on a pivotal or on a pedestal. So this elbow joint is controlling the whole hand. But up to here, I mean, the shoulder joint is controlling the whole hand, then the elbow is controlling this part, then the wrist is controlling this part, then these ones are controlling the fingers. So I can move this without my shoulders. But if my elbow moves, it moves everything here. If my shoulder moves, it moves all of them. If my torso moves, it carries the whole body with it. So for movements, you are working with rotation because it's going in arcs. Every part of movement goes in arcs. When we did the principles of animation, I talked about arcs. When you are creating movements, you make arcs like circular, because that's how things happen in real life. Scale is something that has to do with squashing and stretching. So position now, I want to move her. Like, you see that thing that we're going to do later in 3D, the walk cycle. When you're doing a walk cycle, you just get those two movements, right? And then the parents, which is the torso, you now move it, which I want to do now. So when you move it, it will now look like she's walking, but all these ones are doing are just like this. But when you move it, it now looks like it's moving, it's walking. So that's how animation is done. So the most important things to do in animation is the rotation and the scale of an object, and that is determined by the pivot point. So now if I want to move her head, rotating her head, this is the wrong way the head will rotate. It's heads don't rotate away from the neck. So what I have to do, let me zoom in, is position her, the anchor point of her head, to the neck side. So I take this point and drag this here. Now when I rotate, although I'm doing it too much, but it rotates at that pedestal there. Okay? So I put it on the next side, I can take it higher so that she doesn't fall off her head. So she does dangles that way. Alright, then for the hands, the right hand, same thing. It's supposed to be attached to the torso. Right now, rotating the right hand will just be turning like this because of where the anchor point is. So I have to switch this to where I want it to swing from, which is here. That when I'm rotating it, it can swing from the torso. If you want to adjust it, you can bring it somewhere here so that the shoulder doesn't swing away. So something like that. Okay. The torso, you don't adjust the anchor point. The torso is one part that doesn't rotate. Is this that's your torso here, or if it's an animal, the thorax, it's not animatable. It should be the only thing that should happen with it is movement, positioning. So don't wherever it is, keep it there. The skirt will be attached to the torso, so no need for free movement. But just in case, you can put the animation here so that if you want to rotate the skirt like it's blown by the wind, you can do something like that. Then the right leg, obviously, it will not be rotating from here because that is not how legs move. So you will want to switch this guy here so that when you are rotating it, it's moving within the angle of the torso there. Okay, so I'm going to shift it a bit forward. Same thing with the left leg, you want to push it up here. So now for this left leg, if I rotate it, it's still going to be a little bit bent. So if you want to do a uh, a constructive animation for that left leg, then you can use the puppet pin to stretch the leg when it is uh, coming forward, and bend it when it's going backward. And same thing with the right leg. So that's why I said you can use the puppet pin on the character that have different layers, but it's not completely necessary. The best advice would be when you are drawing, put it in mind what you want to do before you import it into After Effects. And sorry, I forgot to shift this. So now I want to make her, I'm testing out the animation to see whether they are all working well. Okay, they look like they're working well. So I want to test out all the animations, so I will select all of them except the torso. And then, so, yeah, press rotation. So all of them are turned up, and I click on start, F9, so they are all east. Then I can go for this one. No, I don't need the head. So, okay, I can move the head just a little bit forward. Take the hand back this way. Rotate this one going backwards. Rotate the legs changing forward. Rotate this one going backward. Then here, bring it back again. Take this one back forward. Bring this one out. Take the hand this way and move the head. And then if I want to, so I just have this kind of work like this. So just that. Then move these guys backwards. All right. So I just have forward and backward movements, not doing plenty things. So I don't want to have to repeat that. So what is the option I think I will use? I want to make it continue doing it for 20 seconds, but I don't want to have to be doing the animation. What's the option I will use? No, that's what I said. I don't want to have to do that. So I want to make sure everything is repeated along the lines. So what am I supposed to do? We did it now. You add an expression. Expressions repeats things so that it's like you're simulating. So that you don't have to do a lot of things. As long as it's the same movement you're copying, just add an expression, let it do it forever. So, and I taught you guys four of them. I taught you what? I taught you cycle. What should I want? You were in class, shut up. You were in class. You even had private class afterwards. Who can help me? I've forgotten. You cannot forget. You don't have. The expression is written how? You guys are not trying at all. You guys are not trying at all. Please don't be a disappointment. The expressions, you write your expressions, it's a Java script. And I gave it to you very simply. That's why I taught you only four. So that you won't say I have broken your head. And I said it's a loop out. You want to create a loop. Something that is repeated is a loop. It's going up and down, right? So you want to loop out, and you use camel casing. Small letter LOOP, capital letter OUT. Camel casing says that the between the two, if you are using two words, the beginning of the second word will be a capital letter. If you are doing three words, the next word to loop out will be a capital letter. So that's what they call camel casing. The first letters of the new word is capital, then the others are small letters. So we are doing the loop out because it's a syntax, is a code. So you in Java, every code that has a variable is put inside parentheses inside the bracket, right? Then because it's a string, it's not numbers. Strings is are words. You would have to use parentheses, either the single or the double, or whatever you're using here has to be the same here. So if it's double, you use. If it's single, you use single here as well. And then you put the expression inside. What do you want it to do? So I gave you guys four. I gave you cycle. I gave you I gave you cycle. I gave you offsets. I gave you ping pong, and I gave you continue. Should not be forgetting this kind of thing because I don't know what after you finish all this and what you say you have learned in 2 years. So loop out. I put my parentheses. I said small or singular or double. And because I want her to move back and forth, I would rather use a ping pong. Okay. So that's the expression I want to do. So I've put for her head. Now I want to put for these guys. I want to change the expression here. Let's see. Do the same thing. Loop out. Let me do ping pong for that. So what that is doing is, if I go forward, you just see it just keeps moving like that without stopping. Abby? Okay. So you are now adding that expression to all the animated properties that we did. Expressions make life easier. Instead of having to create keyframes everywhere, just keep creating expressions. And that's why I taught it. These are some of the most uh, basic ones. There's another one I wanted to teach you to make time, as in something to be revolving in time or moving in time. That was timex, but the way you guys are going, I don't think I will. I'll leave that up to the. No, it's just the same thing here, but you just write one word. I'm not going to teach. So now I have a continuous loop of her walking without putting too many keyframes. So this is what I wanted to show that I said I showed in earlier when we were talking about composition and layers. To move them, I will have to try and start moving them one by one. Okay, so I can do that by creating a parent. So the head is parented by the torso, right? The hand is parented by the torso. The skirt is parented by the torso. The right leg is parented to the. Okay, let's just make everything parented to the torso. Why not? So that if I create a positional movement for the torso, like here, and move it across the screen in 20 seconds to this other side, I have the girl walking. Because the torso is moving, it looks like she's walking. And it is carrying all of them because all of them are parented to it. So that is a very simple way of doing animation. So what I wanted to show you is most times if I want to make two variations of this girl, I will want to create a pre-comp. That is a dual composition or a sub-composition inside this comp. So I can select everything here, right-click, and pre-compose. Pre-compose will move all attributes into the new composition, blah, blah, blah. I click OK. It will create a singular file or a singular layer of the composition now. I can now duplicate this layer, okay, and add maybe an effect like I could under time I could time reverse. So that it looks like two kinds of things happening there. Or I could add a time remap that will make this girl start off here and then maybe I just reduce her time kind of this way. So like I can just cut her off to start hearing from here and then move her backwards off screen. So it now looks like two ladies walking. This one is trying to catch up to her. And because she has a color, I can now add an effect of the color correction and do probably a hue and uh, change her hue color to something else. That just like she's dressed differently, different complexion and stuff. That it looks like two different people. So these kind of things are basic. They are using the basic animation principles that we talked, or we taught. Say we taught earlier. So, excuse me. That's why I said you should try to practice things that we've been doing since. It's for your own good. It's not for my good. For your own good. You try and rehearse, try and practice, because it should be very shameful if after all this you want to go to the school you are going to, they tell you to do something like this and you are looking to the heavens for help from one angel. No angel is coming to help. They don't use computer in heaven. A man-made thing. All right, so that is that. Thank God is recorded, so you guys can play around with it. So please practice, practice, practice whatever we're doing. Let me do what I wanted to show you apart from this puppet pin today. Let me create a new comp. Um, I want to create an effect, a lens effect. It's one of It's something I want to do, but that won't take us some time. So let me do something very quick and very fast. Uh, I want to bring in a kind of a logo. Oh, la la la. Logo. Um, okay, let me not bring in logo. Let me bring in something less than a logo. Let me see what this one will look like. It's having a no. I want to bring it in here. I don't want this white. Okay, let it just be here. So we can see that it's something different. We want to create an effect where it's like glass or light passing through the object in question. I think to be safe, let me just make my composition white as well. Okay, so I just want to create a kind of light effect on this. There's a kind of a zoom effect. So like I said in a previous class, in After Effects, if you want to create an effect over a layer, it's just like we did in Photoshop, but you don't want to put it directly on that layer, you use an adjustment layer. Create an adjustment layer and put all your effects inside that adjustment layer. It will affect every layer underneath. So I want to create um, a transform effect that will zoom in this picture or make the picture look big. So let me first start by creating a new adjustment layer. Okay, it's just a blank layer, so nothing is in there. It's just an empty container. The effect I want is going to distort this image. So I'll check under distort, and what I'm looking for is transform. So capital or letter T, transform. This is what I'm looking for. So, and then I want to increase the scale to like, let's say something like this. Let's say 130. So it looks bigger. The original image is still small, but the transform layer makes the image look bigger. Okay. So now I can scale down the transform layer like this and rotate it in this direction. So this is just basically what I'm doing. I want to create an effect like this. You see the effect there? That is just what I want to do. Very simple stuff. So it's like as you are moving, the thing is magnifying the stuff. So that effect is done by the transform uh, preset or to transform effects over the object. Okay, so let me turn this 0. Yes, I should come again. Okay. I said I want to create a. Okay, let me start all over again. Created the created a adjustment layer, right? Good. Then I add an effect. Like I said, if you don't remember where or you don't know where your effects are, the way After Effects arranges the tools, similar to how Illustrator or Photoshop arrange their tools, they are kind of grouped. So if I want to do color correction, I'll find another color correction. If I want to distort or change the appearance of an object, it will be under distort. If I want to create something that does not exist, like a drop shadow or a glow, I will go to generate or stylize. If I want to create a 3D like effect, but not necessarily 3D, I'll go to perspective. If I want to create um, particles, elements, I will come to simulation. So it arranges things in groups like that. So what I want to do now is zoom, make this object look large. And like so when an imaginary glass passes, it's like magnifying the object. So that's going to be under distort, transform. Because remember, transform has to do with what? Position, scale, rotation, right? Right? So I want to zoom. Obviously, I'll be looking for something that has to do with transform. There is no effect called zoom like that. So I'm going to transform. But in case you don't remember, you can come to your effects presets here and search. Just start typing. If whatever you're typing does not exist in After Effects, it will not appear. So here to show that, okay, it's transform you're looking for, it is located in distort. So whether I bring it from here, I can bring it from here, just drop it on the adjustment layer or drop it right there. Okay. So I want to scale, I think the size I used was 130. Yes. I want it large, but I don't want it to fill up the screen as it is like this. So I want to reduce the width of the transform to, I can manually do it like this. I can make it longer. Okay, and then the rotation on the transform layer, I can now rotate the length like this. So it looks like it's diagonal. Let me do -10. Okay. If I move it around, you see the effect it's having. It's like glass going through. Right. So let me call this layer glass. To rename a layer, select the layer and press enter. And you can call it glass FX. Let's call it that. So now, what else do I want to add here? To give it that feel I'm looking for, I might want to add a light effect, like light passing through or passing with the glass to show reflectivity. So I will want to create a light effect. So like I said, you come into your effects, we want to generate something that does not exist before. So generating a light, or you can click on light there. So you see different lights. It's a light sweep I want. Create a light sweep. Now, the light sweep is white. My background is white. So why are they small? But I will adjust the light sweep and bring it here to the center of this guy and kind of rotate it a little bit. Let me change size straight like this. Let me increase the intensity small so we can see it. All right. Now, I want it, if I move this layer, you notice the light is not moving with the adjustment layer. Good. So I want the light to move with the adjustment layer. So what do? I need to add an expression for the center of the light to follow the adjustment layer. But you don't need to type. That's a good thing After Effects. Just create the expression option. Is the center, I want to attach to the center of this guy. So hold Alt and click on center. Then the expression thing comes for you to type, don't bother about typing. Just drag the whip, that whip there. That's what we need. I want to drag it. Let me zoom into, oh, sorry. I want to drag the whip to this guy. So let me do that so you see what I'm putting in. I want to put it on position of the layer itself. So uh, let me do my expression again. Center, drag the whip and attach to position. So now you can see in the expression here, it's already telling you how you should have written it. Transform position, that is attached to the transform, and under transform attached to position. So now if I move the position, the light follows it. If I change the transform, that is the expression, to rotation instead, I'll just spell rotation again. Rotate, the rotation instead. It is giving me an issue because it's like, no, you already done an expression here. So I will come off this expression. I can do the center again and drag it to. So whatever options you do, it will tell you, okay, I'm going to this option and this is how you should write it. So for learning purposes, sometimes you might want to learn or cram all this JavaScript code or script code and you don't have the time. Just use your pick whip first and take note of what is written here. Finish. Type it. You always know what to do. Okay, so I want position. I don't want rotation. I want position. So I want position. That's what I want. So I want it to type on. I want it to move with the position of the light sweep. So your animation is going to be simple. You are just going to create uh, a positional movement. So yes, I'm recording it, but nope, there's nothing wrong right now. I click here and at 2 seconds, make it sweep to this point, sweep back, and then move across the screen. So you have this effect. So you have that effect there. Now, I can pre-compose this because I want to add a time lapse to one of them. I can pre-compose this. Remember, time lapse will only work on mobile attributes in the comp. Time lapse will only work when the what's the word I'm looking for now? English has failed me. The time will work only on a video or on a recomposited layer, right, Abby? So basically, okay, so I want to duplicate this, Control D, but then I want to add, I don't want them to move together, so I want to retime this one to start later, but so it's coming, that we can see like two things happening. Let me come back like this. So we can see two lines of light going. I might even want to make this this particular one a little bit larger so that it's a bigger shape, it's a bigger light shape. So with a pre-comp, I can do a lot of things without having to mess up the original file. Then I can now do my layer time, enable time remapping, and then I let this guy start off somewhere here and catch up to this guy here, like this, and then I finish up. Okay. So I can just allow them to be F9. Oh, my screen has turned black. So, so I can turn them to easy ease. Come into my graph editor, play around with some so that it's not moving equally. So I could have this as an animated effect. So that is just glass. So if you change anything, if you change like now, I change this flower to something else. Whatever I put there is the one that will show. So it's that one that will show. Let me turn off the flower. So it's the girl now that will be animated. So once you put the effect, all you need to do is just change whatever layer the thing is running on top, and that is what will be zoomed in. Right? Are we good? So far, so good. Okay, I'm recording it and I'm going to put it. So that means I expect that you can watch it. Can watch it and play around with it. See what you can come up with. All right. So, right? It's simple, Ravi. So for whoever wants to write, who wants to write it, let me just say it so that you can write it down. Does that make sense? Do you want to write it down? You want to read it? You watch the video. Okay. Thank God for your life. Okay. Okay. No one is writing down, Abby, so I can close. I'll send the video, and you guys just watch it. Try and do the effect. It's a very nice effect. It's used in a lot of scenarios. Yeah. All right. Let's do like this. It's very simple. Let me do it one more time. Um, is that? Tell me the part. I've already deleted the thing. So, eh? Control Z. No, I'll do it very quickly again. All right. It will not. It will not cost me my life to do it again. Okay. So I want um. Let's see. Which color goes well? All right. Right, so I'm going to do it again. Something contrasting, something nice. Good. Okay, so let's say I have that. It creates an adjustment layer because I want it to affect whatever I put underneath it. So I can't put it on the layer. There's nothing wrong in putting it on the layer, but you won't be able to create all those animations very nicely. So create an adjustment layer. Make sure it's on top of everything so that it affects everything. Now, from the adjustment layer, you want to add a transform distortion. That's because we want to create that zoom effect. And zoom or scale are objects of the transform property. So effects, distorts, you look for transform, not magnify. Magnify is something else. Transform. Good. I want to increase the scale. Let me go to something like this. Let me just use my eyes to catch it. Something big like this. Right? So this is the original, this is how it looks like now. But I don't want it to affect the whole image, just a particular part of the view, maybe just like halfway this way. So because the layer is something physical, you can adjust it. So we want to reduce the width of the layer, something like this. Let me make a bigger one so that the thing is just happening in that small space. The layer is like a rectangle, so you can squish it, you can make it small. In fact, if you come to layer solid, you see solid settings, you can adjust it from here. So if I wanted the layer of 500 by 500, 500 by 500, it should create a box like square option because it's like a rectangle. Okay. So I can still manually do it and drag it. So I want it to be longer than the screen. So this one, I want it to go beyond the screen. Because on the layer, I want to rotate the layer so that it's like this, not straight on it to be slant. If I use the rotation on the transform property, it's going to rotate the object itself. So I'm not using this rotation. If I use this rotation, this is what happens. Yeah, I'm hearing. No, no, no. The transform is an effect added on the adjustment layer. Look, without the transform, nothing is there. So that's the layer itself. It's not erect. It's this the adjustment layer you create. It's a yes. So like I said, solid layers or adjustment layers, they are like one rectangle. Layers are containers, so you can adjust them like if you're adjusting a shape. That is based on resizing, not based on curves and stuff. So why I didn't use this rotation here is if I rotate the on the transform effect, it's going to actually rotate the object. But I don't want it to rotate the object. I want to rotate the layer itself. Put the transform, not new layer, new adjustment layer. Because the layer has to be, uh, it has to house effects. I can house as many kinds of effects as I want on this layer, this adjustment layer. It's meant for effects. So that means I can actually add a synth effect or a tritone effect to change the color so that when it's on that place it changes. It can add as many things as it is. It is non-destructive to the complete effect. So that is if I turn it off, nothing happen here. If I take this glass layer and put on top, then that one doesn't affect it anymore. Okay, So see the difference here. The text is now on top of the adjustment layer. So if I move the adjustment layer, it's not affecting the text until the text is underneath it. So it's important to understand that the way the layers work, the adjustment for it to affect or create the effect it needs to be on top of whatever you want to create the effect on. So after I did the scale for, let me do a round number, 140, I added a light effect. So let me do fit, and I had to generate it because there's no light here. So I want to create a light sweep. So this is a light sweep. Once you click on it, it adds a light sweep. Right, this is center of the lights here. This icon here. Let me turn off everything else. This is the center of this the sweep here. This guy, not this one. So I want the light sweep to be. Oh, sorry. I want it because right now if I move the adjustment layer, the light sweep doesn't move it. It just stays in place. So what I wanted or what I want to do is make sure the light sweep moves with the layer. So I'll attach it to the center of the layer, the position of the layer, the adjustment layer. And how I do that is by an expression. So hold Alt and click on the center of the light, which is here now. So I can drag it like this, put it here to make sure it's here. But even if I put it there, when I move the layer, it will shift. Good. So I put the light there, and then with Alt, I click on the center so that it brings out that expression command. No, Alt. Anytime you hold Alt and click on any of these guys, now it brings up expression. Good. So you can type it, or if you don't want to type it, you just drag the whip. So I already know what I want. What I want the light to be attached to is the transform property of the adjustment layer, but the position. So I can do transform dot position, or I just drag the whip and drag it to position here, and then it will tell me that is the uh, expression to make sure the light never moves away from the position of this layer. So now, if I move the position now, the light follows it to move everywhere it goes. So that's the expression there. You can increase the intensity of your light sweep. You can make it linear. You can make it smooth. You can make it sharp. You can increase the intensity of the light. But since it's glass like, you don't want it to be too intense. You can change the light color as well. So what next I did here was create the movement of the layer. So move it off screen first, add a keyframe, bring it to a few seconds, bring it back on screen to halfway, like this. Come back here, take it a little bit backwards, like it's trying to go back, and then take it off screen completely. So I just have this movement. Okay, but because it's constant, it's not smooth, so I can now add an easy ease effect, or F as a F9, so that it has a more dynamic uh, feel to it. It doesn't just drag out. So now when I play, it has that little kind of, yeah, that little kind of effect there. I think I did so much for this side. The last thing I did was to create duplicates using the I used a pre-comp, and the reason why I used a pre-comp is because I want to duplicate it, but I don't want to change anything about it. I just want it to duplicate. So you pre-compose that layer, the adjustment layer. So in my pre-compose, I'll call that FX. Okay. So can leave all attributes in COM2 or move all attributes into new COM. Usually we want to move attributes into new COM. Now, this is the first thing you'll notice. Because I clicked move all attributes, we can't see the effects again, right? Until I click into the COM. Then I will see the effect, but I'm not seeing whatever it's doing there. So this is how you bring back whatever you've done. You click on this shy button there. This guy is a continuously rasterize. What it generally means is whatever the other comp had, let it play over this comp. So once you click on it, it brings it back. Then I can now duplicate this and offset the timing. Offset timing just by dragging this guy, sleep editing, as we did. And then it comes on afterwards, after the first one has gone, then the second one comes in. So something like that. So it's a simple animation. And that's it. All right. So like I said, I've recorded this, so can go and watch it again and see how good it can make of it. So let me stop recording. Yes.